We're here at the Encaustic Art by Naranza, and this is your work.
Yes.
And okay, so the first thing that's going to be on the minds of people that are watching, what's encaustic art?
Okay. So encaustic is just like oil painting oil is the medium. With encaustic, the beeswax is the medium. But it's not just beeswax, it's 8 parts beeswax, 1 part damar, which is a pine resin that melts but at a higher temperature. That's what gives encaustic its durability. Encaustic is also the medium and the process, because every layer has to be fused with heat. Encaustic means to burn in.
Okay.
So it's fused in with a heat gun or a torch onto a rigid and absorbent surface like wood.
Okay.
And then every layer has to be fused. The encaustic medium is tinted with a pigment, either a powdered pigment, or I'm a former oil painter, so I leach out the oil in paper towels, pull out the pigment, and mix that with the medium. Or you can buy it ready-made and add that to your own beeswax. The only thing I have to buy is the damar, because we get the beeswax from our own beehives.
Okay. Oh, that's excellent. So
Yeah.
this is your own beeswax. What a great reuse of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about a little bit about your background? You mentioned you've been an oil painter.
Yes.
So what was that like, and why even transition from oils to encaustics?
Oh, it's a world of difference. I have done more painting since I've been with the encaustic, because there's no cleanup. You turn off the heat, you walk away.
Okay.
You just wait a few minutes for the hot plate to heat up. You paint as long as you have time to. Turn off the heat. When you want to paint again, turn the heat back on. I have a dozen brushes. All kinds of brushes, natural bristle, that have the different colors on them. And then they just cool. When I'm ready to paint again, I warm them up on the hot plate and start painting.
So now beeswax is melting at about 145 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes.
So with encaustic painting, is that like the temperature parameter that you're working
I
with?
put my hot plate on 200 degrees.
Okay.
And then I work on 2 pieces at once. So I work on one piece while it's kind of settling and cooling down. I'll work on another piece, and I go back to the first one. By then it's cooled enough that I can go back in and then scribe into it or paint more layers onto it.
So then where is your studio located?
I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay. And so we're looking at some of the pieces. I've already scanned some as the opening for this interview. Would you like to describe one of your pieces and what the inspiration was for it, and just kind of what the process was to get you to a finished piece?
Goodness. Well, sky's the limit. Oh my God.
Well, I noticed you have a fairy.
Okay.
And I kind of like that. So
that was for a pollinator event. And I just liked what the flower looked like. To me, it looked like a dancer. So I put in a little face. That face took me about an hour to do. But then the background could have been done in, half an hour, because it's quicker. I put the beads in there. They're not absorbent. So I had to wire them in there. And then I just thought it looked like a dancer, so I called it Dancing Belayla.
Interesting. Okay. And these are cool too. Now, some of these almost look like, do you do image transfers, or these are all painted?
I don't like doing transfers. You can do that with encaustic, but I don't like to do the transfers.
But you don't. These are actually painted pieces.
Well, some are all encaustic, like these outer space scenes are all encaustic.
Yeah.
This was my first one that I did all encaustic. This is, I call it Impressionism of Impressionism, because it's a Monet water lily scene.
Yeah.
Some of it has photographs in it. Let me find one that has,
so that's not a transfer, it's a photo that you've done encaustic over the top.
And actually, that's a double photo. I printed it out twice, and you can see where the edge of the photo is, and then I paint on top and on the edges. And then I did another one where I cut it out. I cut out certain parts. It gives it some relief to stick out more.
Yeah, very dimensional.
Something like this is all photos that I actually wrapped the whole thing on a block of wood and then painted on top. These are little photos that I paint on top, but I always paint on the edges. Here, my Be Marvelous series. because I put marbles in my bee
In your
bag,
drink?
in the bird bath. And instead of a bee on a flower, I said, oh, these are colorful. I'll do bees on marbles. Right. And then this is my pollen medley, because I love the different colors of pollen in there.
Okay. Oh, let's talk about your butterfly.
Oh,
2 tigers.
I do backpacking. I was coming up a hill, and here was this tiger swallowtail on a tiger lily, and that's the under part of it. And that was my shot of the day. Oh my gosh, I love that. So that's a photograph that I cut out and painted on top of. And then I renamed it 2 Tigers.
Now, why? Oh, because it's a tiger lily with a tiger swallowtail.
Yes.
Nice. Very interesting. I have to say, I really like this one right here as well.
Okay,
this
one is all encaustic. I actually painted that on location, and it was a Christmas tree farm. So I walked down to the road, and I picked up some pine needles, and I embedded them in there.
Oh, very nice. So do you do what we would call plein air work? You said you did this on location?
I've done it a few times,
okay.
and just mostly so I can talk about honeybees, because I have a grill and I have my torch, and I'm out there painting, but people see me from afar with a grill, they think I'm cooking, and they come up and they go, I didn't smell any food.
It's exhausting.
And then I can talk about the importance of the honeybee.
Excellent. What a great tie-in.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how have people been receiving your work here? Have you had a lot of visitors?
Oh, yes, they're all fascinated.
Okay.
Last year we sat here and we talked about, we would say painting with beeswax over and over and over, because a lot of people don't know what encaustic is. So that's why I did this little sign to quickly tell you that it's beeswax. And then I'm really proud of this, that I entered this in the American Bee Journal calendar, and it made the December month.
Oh, nice.
So, and this is the original that I did, and so since it's famous now, my husband made a cherry frame for it.
Nice. Oh, and you've got some cats back
So
here.
I'll show you let me go back to this one though.
Yeah.
This is where I cut out his photo with the frame, and then I paint the background, I inscribe into it while it's molten, and then I adhere this and paint on top. And what was really cool was the smoke coming out of the smoker.
Oh, yeah.
You dab on the white, and then you put the heat to it, and it starts melting, kind of like smoke.
Yep.
So that was cool.
Is this a mandarin?
Yes, it is. This one is all encaustic, no photo on it. And I used a torch to fuse the whole thing. I used dental tools for the detail. And I was surprised at how the torch held the detail, because I call it kissing the surface, because you barely put the flame on the surface.
Wow.
But that's enough to fuse it.
Well, very interesting. Oh, and I like this too. I like everything.
So that's like a photograph again that I've cut out, painted on top, added some beads to it.
Harvest Hope.
This was, I took a photograph of a harvest moon. And so this is the photograph that I cut out. You can see, actually the photo is just this small. I painted the rest, and then this is horsetail, actual horsetail I was growing. I put some bees in, I put some pollen in there, and I just called it Harvest Hope.
So you take the horsetail and you just apply it to the surface?
I actually put a lot of wax on there, to make sure it sticks.
Very interesting. This is probably a silly question. Do you have a favorite piece that you have displayed today? Or you just kind of like them all for different reasons?
It evolves. So for example, this is a new piece that talks about how herbicides will affect a bee's nervous system and it can't forage. So this is like the labyrinth that shows the chemicals going in, gradually we'll get to the bee. So it's some environmental awareness. I'm starting a new series of bee gods and goddesses. And so this one is all encaustic. Bubila, the Lithuanian god of drones, beer, and mead making. So I just made up that image out of my imagination. That's a horn that back in the day they carried their mead in.
Very interesting.
Okay. So no favorite pieces. I love doing this. I really love my pollen medleys. I love doing my outer space scenes.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I like those too. And this is your card. So
Yes, and then
people that are interested, is there a website?
well, you Google my name, and I'm everywhere. You can
Okay.
find all kinds of news of stuff I've done.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for your time today. I really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.